What's up out there? So it is time to do an update. I am currently running level 88 on my Chieftain, and let's see here. We have 84 of 115 maps completed. Doing pretty good with this. I'm getting very frustrated with the red maps. I've been running both my Caustic Arrow Trickster and this Chieftain build. If one can't survive, then I run the other one. I'm going to run this map real quick here. This is just tier 9. I'm trying to get some more red maps and stuff picked up. I've got on my Atlas passive, I've got it where you can get the next map up or whatever, it upgrades a map. But I just kind of want to run through this real fast, run a map, show you how the build's doing. I'm really enjoying this build when I'm playing the appropriate content. It's like the red maps are a little bit thick for me. For the most part, there are some that run really well. Like this map's going fairly well. There's some that I just straight up die. I still don't understand some of the reasons that I'm dying, because I'll fight one monster, like the little bat things that are down in Delve. Sometimes I'll fight those. Everything seems fine. I don't die to them. Everything's cool. Then the next time I die to them, and I don't understand why. I know there's area modifiers down in Delve, or there's map modifiers and stuff. That doesn't necessarily seem to be the case. It just seems to be whatever they're doing at the time is a little too strong. Sometimes I can survive lightning magic, and sometimes I can defend against lightning spells and things like that. And then other times I can't. Some things have, I don't know, just ridiculous amounts of fire damage and cold damage, lightning damage, whatever. It's a bit of a mystery to me, and I don't quite understand. To me, it looks like the same monsters, and I haven't quite figured out what that is all about yet. Let's see here. But you can see that and it's not that stuff, not the big pools on the ground. That's not what I mean. Like these, well, that guy's gone, but those things that throw fireballs, sometimes they just destroy me. And I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out why I die to some odd things. I know those little porcupine things do a lot of projectile damage. So, and I don't necessarily have oh, this is the boss. We're going to die here. Good so far. Did we win? I think we won. I don't think there's a boss left anymore. All right. So that was that. So we'll go back to town. That's pretty much how this has been running. The clear on this is great. When you get off and not necessarily ignite, but when that explosion kicks off and wipes out half the screen, it is fantastic. So let's see here. I thought I had my life up a little bit further, but we've got 3,471 life. Mana is pretty well all reserved for our defenses. Now I've got a lot of defenses that are fixed. So we've got 5,200 armor with a little bit of damage reduction, 59%. That needs to be a lot better. 30% evasion with 4,118 evasion rating. Fire, cold, and lightning res are all well above where they should be. And we've got 19% chaos res. I spent a lot of time working on my gear and getting things ironed out. I tried a bunch of different things. I was using that one retaliation skill. I kind of got sick of it and I quit using it. And I've changed a little bit of my passive tree and some of the ascendancy parts. So on my hammer, I'm still running this Taloa's felling hammer. Or pile driver, the mace. I've started looking for a different mace. I got like a pile driver saved aside. I don't know that I'm going to get one with this much damage, though. We'll see. I would love to get one that has a comparable amount of damage, maybe with some fire damage or something on it. I'm going to work on that. I've got it saved up in my stash, but this one's really good, and I don't know that it's going to get overtaken, but I am looking to replace it. So I am running cries now. I've got auto exertion, enduring cry, and infernal cry. I was trying out auto exertion with an enduring cry, and I didn't like it. I was not getting endurance charges at all, so I've solved that in a different way. But I did get a lot of mana reservation efficiency, and some of you guys had some really good suggestions on some skills to change out or auras to change out and things like that. So I've made some changes, and in making those changes, it allowed. At one point, I had 0 mana left because it was all reserved. But I've made changes to it and got some extra mana so I can actually use both these cries. And the Infernal Cry does more than I think the Enduring Cry does. This gives you a little bit of life regen, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I've just kind of got it in here because it's like the other cry that would help and do something. So Probably could take that out and maybe bump up in Infernal Cry with some support gems or something. I'm not sure. I'll tinker with that in a little bit. I'm just kind of running this the way it is. I did run my final lab and got the Tectonic Slam of Cataclysm. This was a level 19 Tectonic Slam, and I shouldn't have done this. I didn't know what Tectonic Slam of Cataclysm was. So I had, with the final lab, you get two things. So the first thing I chose was, normally I try to get a transfigured gem out of it, but they offered me 20% quality, and I was like, all right, I'm going to put that on here. And then the next one was to convert, basically this version to the transfigured version. So I said, okay, cool. I'll switch it over to a Tectonic Slam of Cataclysm. I do not like this. The problem is this thing uses your endurance charges. So now all of a sudden your defensive layer is gone. It just sucks it all up, and it does far less damage. There's probably a build that would work with this, but I don't like it, and I took it out, and it does less damage. So even though it was fully qualityed out, like this is less quality, but like on the tooltip, it's 39,800. If I swap this thing in, we would have to set this back up to here. It goes down to 36,009. It drops a lot. It robs your endurance charges. It was just a bad change. So now I'm stuck with Tectonic Slam of level 17. I'm working on leveling these up, and then I got to get it qualityed up. So that's a work in progress. On the helmet, we've got Leap Slam with life support and Purity of Elements. I'm still running that. Over here on the gloves, this has got the +2 level of socketed AoE gems. At one point I was running Anger, I think, the one that does for fire. One of you guys suggested switching this over to Herald of Purity, so I did that. This actually uses less mana reservation. So, and it's also got minions deal 90% more physical damage, so I'm kind of thinking about going up to that minion thing in the passive tree. I'm thinking about it. I'm not quite there yet, but this one summons a Sentinel of Purity, and we get 12% more physical damage. It's a nice little aura to run. I don't know that it's like the best thing that I could put here, but it is decent for what it is. The other aura I have is Flammability, which is life tapped, and then War Banner. So these two take advantage of this +2. This one does not. Over here on for Tectonic Slam, I actually 5-linked my chest piece. So I'm in Trade League this time. I've been taking advantage of the currency exchange. So you'll notice that as an aside, I've got all the implicits set up on my gear. I bought currency for that. I also bought the fusings to 5-link this. So I've got Tectonic Slam with added fire damage support. We've got Endurance Charge on melee stun support. This works out excellent, gives you extra damage per endurance charge, and you gain an endurance charge when you stun enemies. We've got Pulverize on here for the increased area of effect and melee area damage, and then life tapped it so I don't have to worry about mana. And then down on the boots is Automation, Molten Shell, more duration, and Blood Rage. So I've got that set up. For implicits, I've got increased duration of ailments on enemies, increased area of effect. On this one, this Zealotry one I need to get rid of, which I might have some currency to replace that. That is Eater of Worlds, and I think I do. And then damage taken recouped is life. Over here on the gloves, we've got exerted attacks deal 25% increased damage, and then 4% increased damage per frenzy charge, which we do get frenzy charges from Blood Rage, so this bumps up my damage a little bit. I may look for a different one at some point, but that's kind of what I've got for now. And then over here, I've got regenerate 0.2% of life per second per endurance charge and 13% fire resist. Now, you'll notice that I don't really have a lot of other resistances. There's fire resist on the boot, on the gloves. I've got a little bit of lightning resist here and a little bit of cold resist here. I actually want to change the fire res over here to lightning and then take that 31% cold res and change that to fire. I'm working on harvest to get enough stuff to do that. And let's see here. Did we look at this? There's lightning res on here, which I should convert to fire res also. And then there's fire res on this. And then my amulet, I've switched this over. I don't remember what I had, but it's got all res on it, some strength, increased fire damage, stuff like that. I had 2 ruby rings at one point with a lot of extra fire res on those. And this one's got a little bit of damage, recouped his life, added physical, added fire damage. The big one here is this Chaos Amulet that I've got, or ring, the Amethyst Ring, which has got 23% Chaos Res. This dropped that way. So when I rolled it, it had 40% Fire Res and 26% Chaos Res. The cool thing is, with one of the Ascendancies that I've got, I don't have to worry about cold or lightning resistance at all. So I can put everything into fire resistance, and there's two reasons I want to do that. Another one is one of the masteries that I have takes all the overcapped fire res and uses that as life regen. So I'm trying to pump as much into that as possible. But because this has 23% chaos res on it, another 26% chaos res down in the bottom, and then I've got another 30% chaos res on this belt, I now have positive chaos resistance. So not only are all my elemental resistances up high, but I have good chaos res as well. So we've got all of that worked out. When I did my last lab run, I was running a ruby flask on here. I need to make sure that I have enough instilling orbs. I'm going to get my ruby flask back in there because that bumps up your cap by 5%, something like that. So I need to put that on there. And I put this on here. I kept running into corrupted blood, but when I ran that last lab run, I wanted to make sure to survive, so I ended up equipping this. But otherwise, I do have use when charges reach full and gain charges when you're hit for both of these. This one, I have the gain charges, but I don't have the reuse or use when full. So I need to get that fixed. But I'm running evasion and armor. Those two, well, Jade Flask and Basalt Flask. Of course, we've got the Quicksilver for moving. So that kind of rounds out my gear. That's doing fairly well. No complaints here. We are running armor evasion for everything. I am always looking for better gear. The chest piece is pretty good. It could certainly be rolled better or something, but it is what it is. Over on the passive tree. So one of you guys was commenting that I probably wanted to take War's Herald and Sun's Roar, and I ended up doing that. So when I was running the retaliation part, I was not running War Cries, so I had zero interest in running this. And for this part, I was kind of up in the air on it. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with things. You'll notice I backed out of Flame's Advance, and I was considering coming over here to Storm's Advance, or Storm's Embrace. I thought about Sun's Light. These were just things I was thinking about. You know, do I want this? Do I not? Sun's Light has nearby enemies, monsters, fire resist against your damage over time is minus 20% while you're stationary. I thought that would be kind of useful, but I wasn't sure exactly how useful, so I didn't bother going into it. This one here, the Storm's Embrace, you get plus your modifiers to max fire res also apply to max cold and lightning. That would bring all my resistances up to probably 82% or whatever. So that just mitigates a little bit more damage. That's what I was thinking about taking it for. And there's more fire resistance and life regen on that, but obviously I didn't take that. I ended up backing out of Flame's Advance. What that allowed me to do is take these jewel sockets here and gain some extra strength off of them. I was more curious how it worked and what it did. I wasn't like stuck to it and that it needed to stay there. But I ended up backing out of that and going into this one here. I do like this Death's Fury. Enemies you or your totems kill have a 5% chance to explode, dealing 500% of their max life as fire damage. You do not know how many times that thing goes off. Yes, it's only 5%, but that's 5% per enemy you kill. So every enemy that dies has a chance to explode. Sometimes you'll see the explosions go off 2-3 at a time, and sometimes nothing died, or none of them explode. There are times where I've walked into a boss fight that's surrounded by a pack, and the boss just vaporizes. I get my little Atlas point at the bottom, and I'm like, okay, that was done. So I like this. I think that's very much worthwhile to take. It's hilarious when everything on the screen explodes and it works well. It doesn't work all the time, and it's not perfect, and it's definitely not consistent, but I do like having it. And then the War's Herald, we've got the equipped body armor is supported by Ancestral Call or Fists of War. The problem is, I don't think Ancestral Call works for this. I looked it up. Ancestral Call, I think, is for strikes, and level 30 is great, but it doesn't matter what level it is if it only counts for strikes and not slams. Fist of War counts for slams. So it looks like this only supports one or the other, as far as I understand it. I did take this, and it does seem to be helping out. That's basically going to be having a 7-link chest piece by this time this is done. And I looked, there is nothing that is a strike and a slam. It didn't look like to me, so it looks like this only supports one or the other and not both. Now, maybe this, I need to look this up and see if it actually does count, but it doesn't appear to count the Ancestral Call unless it's slam, by the definition of what Ancestral Call is and by the gem. So anyway, the other changes that I've made, and I'm pretty pleased with the way this is turning out now. I don't have any complaints about this. I don't have any regrets for trying Flames Advance. I don't really think Storm's Embrace or Sun's Light would be all that much better. One of you guys made a comment that these two were far more taken. I understand why, but like I said, I kind of like to see things for myself just to try it. I just want to understand what makes this better or worse. That doesn't mean these aren't good for some build somewhere, but I like the way my build is turning out now. As far as this all goes, so I had points into skull cracking. I ended up finding out, and I checked on POB, skull cracking is, even though this is mace specific, this wrecking ball down here is actually far better for the points. So I just backed out of skull cracking immediately and just went over to here to wrecking ball. Like it's kind of a no-brainer. It actually adds damage, a decent amount of damage. I won't say significant, but it adds a decent amount of damage. I've also gone into kinetic impacts because this has got stun duration on it. This one also has stun duration. So you'll see a theme. I've started taking a lot of things with stun duration. I'm considering whether I should back out a Lava Lash and this stun threshold here. I know that reduces their stun threshold, which is good. And I like that this has fire resist pen, but I don't know. I was kind of thinking about, trying to figure something else out with it. We've got Spine Crusher on here, and that might be about it. I've kind of stalled out on leveling up. I did get one or two more levels today, and I backed out of some other stuff and came over here into Vigor. Let's see. I took this Charge Mastery for 3% increased damage per Endurance Frenzy or Power Charge. And let's see here. I took this one for You Can't Be Maimed and Hindered. I was getting maimed all the time, and it was just aggravating the hell out of me, so I put this so I didn't have to deal with that anymore. Let's see here. 30% reduced extra damage from critical strikes. That seemed to help out some mitigation a little bit. And then I took this Fire Mastery here, which is regenerate 1 life per second for each 1% uncapped fire res. So that was, by taking that, I was able to back out of, I think, Hardy over here. And I have 501 life regen. So with Hardy, I think it was like 300 or 400 or something like that. When I came over here to this uncapped fire res, now I have 501, which, like I was saying, I could come over here to the horticulture station, horticrafting, and we could swap out probably lightning res. I don't know if I can swap out. Oh no, I want to change lightning. Oh, I do have enough, so I can swap that out. Can I do that here? Nope, I have to have this stuff out. This actually, it should raise my lightning or my fire res quite a bit. So we're going to change a modifier that grants lightning res. This has got 41% lightning resist to a modifier similar to a modifier that grants fire resist. So we're going to swap that out. We get 39% fire res, and when we look at this, I still have plenty of lightning resistance. So, and I have higher fire res, and that means our 501 life regen just went up to 540. So I don't need any other resistances at all. Just stack as much fire res as possible and cruise along with this. I'm also working on another Tectonic Slam, leveling that up in the background. I'm going to probably do a what is this? The thing that corrupts them, the Vol Orb. I'll probably run that on there, and I don't know that I want to quality it up, or I may quality this one up and then Vol Orb this one once it's level 20 and quality it up to 20. I'll probably do that and then see if I can get a good level 21 or something like that. If it poofs, I'll have another one in the background leveling up. I put both these in at the same time so they'll finish out at the same time. And other than that, should be a good enough video. That should do it for this one. I'm making progress. I'm running into some brick walls. I'm actually considering, before we close this out, I'm actually considering to stop working on this where I'm at. I know I'm kind of getting some head speed and getting my mapping progress done, and I'm very close to having this done, but I am considering, today's Sunday, I'm done playing after I get done with this video. I'm considering tomorrow to start a different build. Now, the build that I'm thinking of is either going to be a champion build, maybe Berserker. I kind of want to try both those ascendancies out. And the reason I kind of want to quit on this, I'm kind of getting tired of grinding on either that, or I might take a day off and do something else. I've been grinding really hard on this. I either need to stop and go play a different build or play a different game for a little while. I'm not sure. It's kind of getting to that point where I've played a lot and I kind of want to take a little bit of break. I am thinking about starting a different build to see if I can get that another build rolling and going along. I'm at level 88. I would like to be 90, 95, something like that. But I think I'm getting to the point where I would like to do something a little bit different at the moment. Not sure what, but I am thinking about it. I'm not sure which build. I may just spend a couple of days tinkering around with different ascendancy, or well, different classes. I'm not up to the ascendancy part yet, but I may tinker around with them and see what I can come up with and see if one grabs me. And if not, maybe I'll come back to this or something. But anyway, and the idea for and the reason I say that is the idea I had for this league was to try a bunch of different ascendancies out, not just, try different ascendancies, try different builds out, try to roll my own with everything and see what I can accomplish. I have learned a tremendous amount with this build, and as far as what mitigates what as things go, and I think I'm ready to go try something different now and see what I can learn with that I might bring over to this one, because that's how I learn things, is go and try things out, see what they do, and then if this works out for this one, I learned something that maybe I can apply to that. In this build, I've learned a lot of things. Like I got petrified once. I didn't know that was a thing because I play Bone Shatter Juggernaut, and a lot of times I'm going and doing the difficult content with that. It's got the unstoppable or whatever, whichever one, I can't remember. It's unyielding, unstoppable. The one that doesn't harm your movement penalty at all. That one I think just goes right through petrify, because I've never had that before. So I assume a lot of the things with that build and that the Juggernaut Ascendancy just kind of smooths over a lot of stuff. And because I'm always pushing the hardest content with that build, I don't ever see these problems. And now I'm seeing these problems, and I'm trying to have to solve that and try to figure out what it is, if all that makes sense. So that's why I'm thinking about going to another build. Not so much burnout on this. I am having a lot of fun with this build. I'm enjoying it. I'm getting my mapping done with it. It's not that I want to stop because of that. It's because I want to try to learn something else that may help me with this build or my Caustic Arrow build. So that's kind of the whole point. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.